Hey everybody, it's Rob Ferretti. Anyway, I got a Porsche behind me. Shivam's car. You may remember I took it around. I was trying to figure out what that noise was. But he decided he was going to bring it to Porsche. That's a big mistake. At least the dealer he brought it to. And we'll get into my gripe with certain dealers at another time. But maybe at the end of this video. But if you look here, they told him he needed that's a Lambo. They told him he needed $16,000 worth of rear brakes. They said the rear brakes are bad. I said, Shivam, you sure about that? They're carbons, and you've only got 30,000 miles on the car. And you know, not for nothing, they look pretty good to me. Now he's going off of these wear spots, saying like, well, they're saying these are wear spots. I assure you, yeah, the brakes are fine for now, at least for the foreseeable future. This tool, even aftermarket, if you lose it, 270 bucks, but that plugs on there to get your $700 torque wrench to take your wheels off. That's why I say center lock wheels, not very smart. But anyway, Shivam was at the dealership and they told him, and he called me up and said, okay, they're telling me it's 16 grand, I need new rear brakes. And I was like, no way, you can't need new rear brakes. You got carbon ceramics on there. Those things are good for at least, even on like my most abused rental cars, where we used them for like autocrosses nonstop, 50,000 miles out of a set of carbon ceramics, which is like, you're talking like extreme heat cycles for a long time. I can't imagine you need brakes at whatever, 28,000 miles, whatever's on the car. And so he told me, I'm like, well, get the car out of there. And then I said, if anything, if you really need pads, get the pads. So he goes and he orders the pads. So he got new pads. And then he got new sensors. And it turns out, when they took the wheels off, because I said don't do it at the dealership, because the dealership won't even do it. The dealership won't do just pads only on the car. They have to swap, for liability reasons, because they don't want to, they have to swap off the rotors and the pads. So like, just take it back. So we get the car back and we take it off, and what do we find? Well, I'll tell you what we find. Find some pretty concerning news. Find these. Huh? These are sheared off, right? Like these go back together. Now, these aren't what we're making the noise, but on the other side of this wheel, and I'm not gonna take it off because it's a different type of lift. This is a storage lift. On the other side of this wheel, there's these screws that hold the rotors tight. So the rotors were loose, and those were just banging around in the wheel, not making the noise. And the calipers were loose on both sides in the rear. And Shivam's like, well, how could they possibly have missed this? Like, why did they put the thing off? Like, how did they miss these screws, and how did they put these back in like that? And it turns out they didn't even take the wheel off. So he brought the car to a dealer without even removing the wheels. They told him he needs $16,000 worth of service work on the rear brakes. He brought it in for a noise, and they're like, hey, you need new rear brakes. So here we are, $16,000. They didn't even remove the wheels from the car. We get the new brake pads from, I don't know, Suncoast or something like that. And they're the same thickness. Can you even see? Let me see if you, like, I can fit my whole fingers in there. They're the same thickness as what's on there. And then we're like, all right, well, let's see what they're saying here. And here on the rotor, you see it says, let me see if I can hit this with a little light. Sorry, gentlemen and lady. See, it says there, come on, minimum shadow, minimum thickness, 27.7 millimeters. And you know what? We measured the rotor, and it's more than 27.7 millimeters. Let me see if I can give you a little picture of the, can you get in there? It's not as easy as I thought. Plenty of pad though. So this car doesn't need either of these things, so we're gonna send them back. And what do we have? What are we left off with? Let me turn that flashlight off. What are we left off with is he almost paid 16 grand for brakes that he didn't need, from a diagnosis where they didn't even take the wheels off to check what was making the noise. And again, I don't know, the noise is probably still there because they haven't done anything, but that sucks. I mean, think about bringing your car in and getting a $16,000 phantom service, and most Porsche guys, they're just gonna pay it. Oh shit, I need that safety issue, like, right? They're like, oh, you can't just do pads. All right, yeah, I guess I have to suck it up. It's part of owning a fancy car. And that is a pretty shitty way of going about things. Now, these are his side skirts, but we're putting these on. It was falling off the one side here because the little tabs are broken. But both rotors perfectly fine on the back. I should have just come over here. Directional, obviously, with the arrows. Oh, this is much easier to videotape. So we got the ambient light from outside. But they're well over 28 and change on the millimeters on the thickness of the rotor. So they've got more than enough life left in them, especially on the rotor thickness. And I was like, well, how could you possibly need new rears when you don't need new fronts? Because the fronts do most of the braking. And he got a story about how the rear brakes are sort of always engaged because it helps with the stability of the GT3s. Thought that was what the wing was for. But needless to say, both calipers were loose, both rotors were loose, and some bolts were broken off in the one wheel. And Porsche missed that, but did tell him he needed to spend 16 grand. It's pretty wild, right? Jesus. So that's also a good time to bring up the fact that Rob loves GT3s, right? This car, cool car. But Rob's GT3 order, you know what? I'll make another video about it. But let's just say the dealer now wants over list for my order. They said I got an allocation now in December, but they want over list, and that's not happening. I'm not gonna sit in line for a car, which is not a limited car, then be told that I have to pay over list. So if you know a dealer that's selling GT3s at sticker, I'm happy to pay sticker. I've got my bill, they'll send it over to them, and they can have my business. But that was sort of a bullshit move, if you ask me. But so is telling somebody they need pads and new rotors for 16 grand when you don't actually need them. And you didn't even take the freaking wheels off. Look at the screws. Thank you for watching.